So I will share my screen as we begin. And so today's lessons we'll understand at the end of this session. We shall understand what discipline is, shall be able to understand what consistency is. We'll be able to differentiate the two and also learn from our experiences. Experiential learning is very important, because if I give you my story, somebody gives their story, it's going to be very encouraging, and probably will have lessons to learn. Lessons can be both unsuccessful and successful stories. And even where there's no success, there's always a lesson. So as we begin, we will have a session towards the end of my session. I will welcome any of us who has an experience based on what we will go through. Once you understand consistency and discipline, we will have a session where we'll share our experiences to just see if we can help someone learn from what we've gone through, either in life, our family life, our school life, our social journey, so that everybody of us can learn. And that is part of mentorship. So you can mentor your fellow mentee. You don't have to be a mentor to mentor. You can be a mentee and also mentor others, because experiences are shared and lessons are also shared. So if you're kind to share your lessons, we will also learn from each other. Okay, so then now, what is discipline and what is consistency? Holiday, I don't know if we are able to unmute anybody who would want to contribute to this part, because one of the things is I don't want to speak through and through just by myself. I might just be speaking to myself. So I want to hear a bit before I go on to what I have. If you would like to contribute to any of the definitions, discipline or consistency, maybe you can have your hand up for 1.5 minutes, and then we can listen to what you have as your ideas before I can pick it up. Holiday, maybe we can check anyone who wants to try, anyone who wants to give it a try. Define discipline or consistency, whichever you're comfortable with. Tell us what you think it is.
Yes, I think you should pick someone.
Let me pick someone. Okay. Amani Manyara. Try and tell us what you think discipline is.
Discipline or consistency, yeah?
Okay, consistency, right? Please go ahead.
Well, I think both of them go hand in hand. And discipline basically involves being, one second. Like, a discipline is where you're able to hold yourself accountable for different things that you've planned or have not planned. And consistency is when, for example, you make a plan and you stick to it often, regularly, instead of like doing it one day, then stopping, then doing another day and stopping.
Awesome. We can give her our flowers. Good trial. Actually, that is really good. Amani, anyone else who wants to either back up her answer or give a different definition? Thank you for joining. We are defining consistency and discipline. Do you want to? Yes, please.
I think I'll have the same answer as Amani pretty much, but yeah.
Did you use AI?
No.
All right, go ahead.
Like, consistency is like basically you. Okay, she's already said that, so I can say that consistency looks different for different people. So it's basically progress, and it's a whole process. It's like the continual, like you keep on doing something. Yeah. And discipline. I don't know how to define that one. Yeah.
Okay, all right. So from both, thank you, Keshi. Keshi is a short of Wangeshi. So thank you for those contributions. Awesome. And I think they are correct and right answers. I like the word continuous on both definitions when you're talking about consistency. Discipline, Amani mentioned doing what you need to do. and doing it right. So all those definitions are correct. Then what do we have here before we go on to our definitions? We have a picture of some people. I hope you can still see my screen. Confirm, please. Okay. We have a picture of some runners in Kenya training somewhere. Who do we recognize in this picture? Who can you recognize in this picture? Eliud Kipchoge. Thank you, Lois. Eliud is among these runners. He's in an orange shorts. He's in a pair of orange shorts, and is leading a group. Really not leading, but he's practicing alongside his counterparts. This is somewhere in Kaptagat, one of his training tracks where he practices every morning, and he doesn't do it alone, and he does it every day when he is home. We'll get to see what this is all about. Now, after all hard work, this is again Eliud Kipchoge raising the Kenyan flag somewhere very far away from Kenya. And this is one of his second gold medal that he won continuously, because he won several gold medals for at the Olympics in the men's marathon. We'll just explain what we've just seen. So Eliud Kipchoge's journey started locally, like we have seen, where he practiced and started before he went to the marathon. You will all know that if you've been interested in athletics, 5,000 meters is a track race. It's not a marathon race. So you go around many times the track, and then he realized he can do longer trips or longer runs, and he joined the marathon. He achieved dominance. He won multiple times, but the highlight is that he became the first person to run the marathon. The marathon is very many kilometers, about 42 kilometers, in less than 2 hours. So if you all remember Ineos, the challenge that he took, and he managed to run just under 2 hours, and he became the first person. If we all know what it means to be the first person in the world to do this, this is uncomparable. But it didn't just come. This guy started somewhere in a village, continues to practice today, and that's where he has this is what it led to. So his career is marked by consecutive Olympic medals. So he has a whole series of victories. Where does discipline and consistency come in Kipchoge's story? He trains at the same time every day at Kaptagat or in Kaptagat. Eats very simple meals, follows strict routines. If you have just find time and listen to his documentary and how he gives his story, he's a very simple guy. But out of this consistency, he has won 15 out of all the 17 marathons. And the tool that he's lost is just recently, where he probably wants to have others come on, or he's going down his journey of athletics, or for whatever reason. And in life also, it teaches us that you can't keep winning through and through. There's sometimes you lose probably to learn a lesson or things like that. So the nugget lesson here for us is that discipline creates the path, okay, but consistency keeps you on it. So as Amani told us, it is the power or the strength to keep going. If Kipchoge did not keep going, the 15 wins would not have come through. So his success is not from one great run. It is years of discipline and consistency in his training. I have another picture here of some footballers. It's some football season. Tomorrow is the final CHAN. I don't know how many football fans we have in the house, but this is an old picture. It's not a very current photo. But I would want to see who identifies any player. You can chat in. You can type in if you have identified any player. In this photo, or in this group of footballers, who do you identify? You can chat in. I know there are footballers here. I know, or football fans. I know one or two. So type in if you know someone in this photo. Very good, Eva. That's my namesake there. Michael Olunga, very good. Victor Wanyama. Oh, nice. Any other person you see in this photo? Very good. Let me pick the first one that Eva Gadhoni mentioned. That's Victor Wanyama. Victor, in this photo, Victor is part of his team that was, this was a lineup for one of the AFCON qualifier matches in some years back. So he was just an ordinary player. Of course, rose up the ranks to be their team leader. But bottom line is he started where everybody of their team was, and was probably unequal. But he decided to rise beyond everybody else. And where did that take him? This is him in one of the Premier League matches between Tottenham Hotspur and Southampton. This was when he was playing for Hotspur. And if several years ago you asked Wanyama if he would ever have played for an English team, the answer would probably have been he doesn't know or he doesn't think so. But this is where everybody was amazed at how high he could jump, the headers he would do, and he became a world champion. In the next photo, you'll see he's actually head-to-head with Rooney. If you know the footballers of several years back, Rooney, I think, is no longer very active, but he was very active in football. This is an international stage. And again, this is an English Premier League. And Wanyama stands out amongst all these high-flying players. And what you see is that he stands out, and in both of these photos, even the previous one, you see he's jumping higher than everybody else. This tells you, because you can't just come from out there and jump this high. You have to have practiced and you know, gave your all to be able to do this. So you can see even on this photo, nobody jumps higher than him in terms of going for the ball. So it calls for a lot of discipline, a lot of practice, a lot of consistency for you to be this good. So his story is there. I will share the presentation later because I may not have so much time. But he was committed from a very young age to play football. He started at local teams. He also went, you know, the local football matches where the boys in the estates or in the village, they will go barefoot. They will play actually barefoot on the football pitch. I know Amani may not have watched people playing football barefoot, but yes, that happened. And for Victor Wanyama, that was the kind of story that he has. But he had a lot of dedication in football. So he progressed and he became a reliable midfielder. Everybody looked up to him, and that's how he was coached by the English teams. And he's gone through the world. Now, Wanyama became the first East African. Again, we saw Kipchoge's story of being the first man, all right, to run under 2 hours. Now, Wanyama became the first East African to play in the English Premier League. He played for both Southampton and Tottenham in different times. He's also played other places or in other countries. But bottom line is his discipline and consistency took him this far. Of course, his football helps him in other things like the CSR and also encouraging youngsters. In terms of discipline, from humble beginnings and wherever he started, he went to the highest point of his career. Consistency helped him to improve, and he moved from high end to high end. So he's been to Scotland, he's played for England, he's played for Canada, among other teams in the world. So the Najat lesson here is his journey shows us that discipline and consistent hard work, it can take you from a local dusty pitch to the world's greatest football arenas. And so it is for us. So as we carry on with this topic, our goals, to achieve our goals, there must be something called discipline. And therefore, we are defining discipline as the bridge between our goals and the achievement of those goals. In the absence of discipline, however many goals we have, it's going to be very hard to achieve those goals. This is where you say, I wasn't disciplined, but somehow I got that. Yeah. How you got that is probably by flukes or by luck. But in this world today, we don't have, there's so much competition. So that luck may not just come by. So discipline will pay at the end of it. And we are also told in the next bullet that discipline is doing what needs to be done, even when you don't feel like it. Yeah. Sometimes discipline is really hard to maintain. For example, for you to wake up on a Saturday morning to join this call at this time, it took you a lot of commitment. You knew that you have this session to attend. You had the option to sleep. We will not penalize you for not joining this call, but you chose to wake up and join this call. So at that point, I would want to congratulate you for that discipline, because that in itself is discipline. But consistency would be, if we have such a session again and again and again, will you drop off along the way? Will you get tired and say, these sessions of Saturday morning, zinanishinda, I no longer can cope, because, and probably the reason you're giving, you're not able to sleep enough. Then we will have the value between sleep and what we are going through today. Consistency, by definition, is the ability to act or perform in the same way over and over. The key word here is again and again. Okay? So I'll use this analogy of the key. The key does not change in how it's created. Sometimes you know that if you lose a key, you can go and cut the key to have the shape that it's supposed to enter in those the eye of the hole, the keyhole. If that key changes, you can't open that door. Yeah. So if you don't maintain or do the same way over and over, then the results will definitely be different. So under whatever circumstances, whether it is hot or cold, if that key has the same shape, it opens the door every time you try to open the door, as long as the shape of the key in terms of the key in the hole, as long as they don't change. So how do the two relate and where do the two meet? Okay. We know that we've learned that discipline is doing what you need to do even when you don't feel like it. Consistency is doing that thing over and over, all right, despite the circumstances. So both are similar in a way. I know Keshi was trying to differentiate the two, but there's definitely a difference, but most of it is similarity. And some of them is the shared foundation of self-control. In both, for you to maintain discipline and consistency, you must have self-control. So both rely on self-management and restricting distractions. You would have slept. Sleeping today, this morning, is a distraction already. So if you resisted that, kudos to you and well done. And any other kind of distraction in your life, may it be your studies, in this era of social media, you have, like now someone is trying to chat me, yeah? Problem is that I am on this session, I'm not able to look at those chats. If I was in class and nobody is listening to me, most definitely I would have gone to my phone, looked at those chats, and be tempted to respond. But how easily are you able to restrain or resist those distractions? Number two, we have sustained effort. There must be effort. For you to maintain discipline, you must make some effort, okay, to start doing what you need to start doing. And then there must be continuity. Then there is result-oriented. Both discipline and consistency have a result. One is that it helps you to initiate the journey, that's discipline. Consistency helps you to build momentum. And there is mutual reinforcement on both discipline and consistency. But where is the difference? The nature of discipline is about control and sacrifice. Consistency is reliability and regularity. How often do you do something? How reliable, how correct or how well is that thing being done to help you achieve your results. Time focus. Discipline comes at the beginning. If I say I will be doing this thing this way over time, when I start, then I will have to maintain discipline. Then we'll have consistency that helps me in the long run as I continue doing what I need to do. For example, waking up at 5 every day for several months, yeah, that is in the long run. So if I'm I'm in school and I say I'll be waking up at 5, that's one thing, and maintaining that time, discipline is one thing. But the other thing is now, how many times will I wake up at 5 going forward? Will I do 1 week and then drop off? Okay, will I do 2 days and then get tired? So that is one of the differences. And the other difference is emotional feel. Discipline sometimes feels like a battle within yourself. This waking up at 5, how easy is it? Yeah, how am I able to sustain this waking up at 5? Consistency feels like a flow. Once you get used to it, it creates a rhythm. Yeah, it becomes a repeated habit, and therefore it's just discipline, reinforced. So one is a battle before you start or at the time of starting, but the other one just feels like a flow if you are on it. So what are the habits them that build discipline? Of course, we are saying that you must have something you want to achieve. For you to describe that I am very disciplined in this area, there must be what we are talking about. What are we talking about in terms of our end goal, our end result? What exactly do you want to achieve? If we are in school, if we are at work, do we have goals at the end of the period? If we are we have a project, do we have a written goal, or do we have an end result to that project, and what is it? Do we have a routine? That's number 2. Create a routine and stick to that schedule. We'll speak to this when we come to consistency, but it builds discipline as well when you have routines, because it reduces fatigue and also distractions. Yeah, because at this time you're supposed to do this, and therefore you'll end up doing it. Then prioritize on tasks. Start with what matters most. Okay. Avoid procrastination. Procrastination is a disease. I will ask you to go and read about Eat the Frog principle in the interest of time, because I still have several slides to run through, and then see what it says, yeah, about leaving out the hard task and procrastinating to do them later. I know we have experiences towards that, but it really distracts or fails discipline. That's procrastination. Practice self-control. Of course, we said avoid what feels like it's tempting to you, better, interesting. As long as it doesn't contribute to your goal, try and avoid that. Those are temptations. Stay consistent. So we'll talk about that when we come to consistency at all on the next slide. Develop accountability. When you have a habit and you want to be disciplined, let someone look over you. Like, are they working with you, or are they checking on you? Get a partner, an accountability partner who you can check each other on. Build resilience. Learn to bounce back after failure. We said it is okay to fail. Not everything will be a success in your life. It is okay to fail. But do you bounce back, or do you just, lag back and then concentrate on those failures and you don't move on? Take care of your body. Sleep well, eat healthy, exercise, and because a healthy body helps you to maintain discipline, because you will be okay mentally. Practice mindfulness. So be aware of what can distract you and qualify them as distractors so that you are able to get rid of them. Okay. Reward progress. If you are, you've completed a project, just say, or after exams, for example, and you say you had a series of movies that you had wanted to watch and you had no time to watch them, then you can sit, relax, and watch because you're done with your exams at that time. That's a simple reward, because you have, over time, achieved what you had wanted to achieve. So what is today's motivation in terms of discipline? We have said that discipline is the bridge between our goals and accomplishment. This was according to John 1992. So today's motivation is, you can see a picture of a guy there trying to cross over the other side. You can imagine what has gone through this gap, the whole of this gap where the discipline is, a lot of ups and downs. Life will not be easy. As you go towards your achieving your goals, life will not be easy, and everything will not be a walk in the park. So the habits that keeps consistency more or less like those of the discipline, but these are the habits that will help you keep at it, keep going. Yeah, what makes you keep going? Start small and then build up. Just like a race, we've seen in the previous slide where Kipchoge started on the track. He did not go to the road immediately. He started on the track. 5,000, and I'm sure he started with very short races, so maybe 3,000, 5,000, and by the time he was getting to the road, he had already known that he's mastered his art. So don't be afraid of, starting small, because that's how you build your momentum. Set clear and realistic goals. Don't be too overambitious. Don't be overambitious, because that will make you lose hope. You cannot be this guy who wants to jump from this ridge to the other without expecting to go through some hard work. Again, you must know if your goal is too high above your expectation or your capacity, then you will not achieve it. So you set realistic goals. Create systems and routines where that will help you build momentum. So if you have a new habit, attach it to another habit so that the habits will help you achieve your goal at the end of it. Track your progress. If possible, keep it visual. I'll give you a story of mine at some point, and you will see why visual helps you to see your progress without struggling. Yeah, it is visible, you can't lie. Okay, so if it's numbers, for example, if you're doing some business profits and you're calculating your monies, then numbers don't lie. So you stay accountable, share your commitment with a friend, get accountability partners, and stay on track. Okay, also remove temptations and distractions. We said this is the biggest challenge, yeah? And we'll be having a conversation on how to avoid those distractions. Be flexible. Of course, you're not perfect. So if you're not able to do this now, try again, okay? But most importantly, don't stop. Restart immediately. Then use rewards just the same way we said. Celebrate your small wins. Celebrate them, no matter how small you think they are. Then develop patience. Results take time. In this age, and I know we have several Gen Zs here, we want results, pap, results like now. In life, that is okay, yeah, to ask to get, to want your results now. But practically, that may not happen because you have to work for it. Yeah, results take time. It is a process. Just trust that process. Okay, you plant the seed and then nurture that seed, and later you will sow the fruit. Okay, so we have, you need to remember your why. Why are you doing this? Remind yourself every so often. If you have a diary and you noted down what you needed to do, okay, remind yourself every day, have a checklist, okay, that takes you back to the why you started doing something so that you don't drop off. Yeah, is it better health? Was it career growth? Was it financial? If you're not able to use your pocket money well, or you use your small allowance properly, how then are you able to check yourself? Remind yourself the why at the end of the day. So consistency, according to Aristotle, is we are what we repeatedly do. Excellence, therefore, is not an act, but a habit. We said consistency is not doing something once and then stopping. As Keshi told us, it is doing something repeatedly, over and over. Aristotle is the father of, is a Western philosopher, and has very many interesting quotes. And he says, we don't have to be, for us to be excellent in whatever we are doing, you don't do once and then think, you will be, you're okay. Because the next time you do it, you can't be sure of a win. All right. This guy stacking blocks. He may have done this very many times for them to stand like they are. So you need to practice, do it over and over for you to succeed. I'm on the middle of my slides, so I'll not take time on this, but remember, we don't want to confuse discipline for these words here. It is not punishment. Remember, your goal was voluntary, so discipline therefore cannot be punishment. It is something that you enjoy doing and you really want to do because you want to achieve a goal. It is not temporary motivation, neither is it rigidity. You have to be flexible. It is not talent. If it is if you have a talent, well and good. And it is also not intelligence. So if you're intelligence, well and good. But for discipline, it means then you're doing something over and above. Because you may be intelligent, but you don't read. Okay? Then what happens is maybe when we get an exam that is throwing you off, even when you're intelligent, you will not perform. For example, laboratory experiments or examinations that are physical. You may be intelligent, but because you have not practiced taking that physical, exam and all that, you will not perform. Okay, it's not a one-time act, and then it's also not about controlling others, but controlling yourself. Discipline is not easy, and same way, consistency is not perfection. Okay. We are saying you don't have to be perfect the first time, second time, third time. You can do it several times for you to be perfect. Again, you need to be flexible. It is not intensity, how hard you're doing something. Yeah, it is how many, because today I could decide to run 20 kilometers, okay? And then in the next 1 month, I am not running even a 1 kilometer. So it is not intensity of what you're doing, but how many times and how often you're doing it. It's not speed, it is not motivation, it is not luck, again, and it is not doing everything. So at this point, I want to pause there and invite those of us on this call. Based on what we have gone through, we are about 24 of us. I will invite 2 or 3 people to just share an experience where we may not be the Kipchoges of this world or the Victor Wanyamas, but in our own small way, we have a way of sharing with the rest of us. How have we experienced success or a lack of it due to discipline or lack of discipline, or we have not been consistent and therefore dropped off. We have been consistent and then succeeded. Either way, just think quickly and then we can have 5 minutes of sharing before we can continue. So the floor is open to anybody who wishes to share their experiences.
Good morning, everybody.
Good morning.
My name is Sophie. I just want to share something small on discipline and consistency. I don't know whether you've ever had an urge to start something, and once you start doing it, you have no way of turning back. That was me maybe about 9 years ago. I've always been a big bodied person. In a lighter term, I've always been fat. So at that particular time, maybe around 2014, 2015, I decided to take matters into my own hands and start going to the gym. Of course, it wasn't easy. Being a big person and starting to go to the gym, it's usually not an easy thing. You have people staring at you. You don't know what machines to use at the gym, so you're just confused. But of course, eventually, you get the ropes of doing what you're supposed to do. I was very disciplined, very, very disciplined, because I knew I had a goal at the end that I wanted to achieve. You know, when you buy clothes that you want to fit in, that's the kind of person that I was, and I still am. I literally buy clothes and tell myself at a particular time, I will fit into these clothes. So that was my goal. I wanted to really look good in the clothes I wear, feel confident and all that. So I was really disciplined, literally waking up at 4 a.m. to go to the gym. My gym used to be in town. So in that particular time, I was using a matatu. So I'd have to wake up at 4 a.m., make sure that I'm at the gym by 5 a.m. Work out up to around 7:30. No, was it 7? Work out up to around 7. And then have to rush to work, which was in Upper Hill. So you can see that kind of discipline. For you to do all that, you really need to be disciplined in your thoughts, in your mind, in your actions, because you are telling yourself, it's either I do this or I don't achieve what I've set myself to do. So again, on the issue of consistency, I really worked out. Let me tell you, I had no time where I didn't think about going to the gym. If I am working in the evening after I finish working, at some point I used to actually work out twice in a day, morning and evening. So you can imagine how much of a want of me losing weight I needed I needed in my spirit. So I would go in the morning and in the evening. So I really built up that consistency, and I went from weighing 116 kgs to weighing 70 kgs. Of course, it wasn't a one-off thing because it was a period of 1 year, 2 years for me to achieve those results. But I can tell you for a fact, the fact that I was disciplined in going to the gym, eating right, I had to change my diet. I had to stop eating junk. I am a lover of wheat products. I am a baker myself. It was not easy getting rid of those items. From the beginning, I actually got rid of eating wheat. Then eventually I started reintroducing them one item at a time. Maybe once in a week or once in every 2 weeks, I would eat a wheat product. So that is the kind of discipline you have for you to achieve some goals. So I'd like to reiterate what Eva has said. When you want to achieve something in life, whether it is small, whether it is big, discipline and consistency really matters. Sometimes your friends may look at you like you're crazy. Sometimes your family may look at you like you're crazy. My family certainly thought I was crazy going to the gym 2 times in a day, and even on Saturdays, like half of my Saturday would be spent at the gym. But I knew what exactly I wanted to achieve within that period of time. So if you have a goal in mind, if you have a target of what you want to achieve in mind, as Eva has said, set time, a time where you want to really focus on whatever you want to do, focus on it and go head on and basically do what you're supposed to do. And above all things, if we're all Christians, I don't know whether all of us in this page are Christians, or if you're a Muslim, above all things, put God first, because some of these things, you actually need God to really achieve them. So yes, thank you so much. And right now, honestly, I think I gained back some of that weight because I stopped being consistency. So there's a very major downfall when you are not consistent, because I gained back my weight probably like 5-6 years later. So consistency is not something that you stop, you continue, because if you stop, everything that you have achieved will come back, will be cancelled. Let's just say that. So keep being disciplined and keep being consistent. Yeah.
Okay, thank you. Claps and flowers, love hearts for Sophie. Of course, a bit disappointed that the weight came back, but well, yeah, that's a good testimony and very good sharing in terms of our life experiences. And like we said, discipline is not schoolwork, it's not work only, it can be your life and how you live. And you can see that's a physical ambition that Sophie had. Anyone else who has something to share? Lois, you can keep us in check. Rosemary has her hand up. Please carry on.
Good morning, good afternoon. Thank you so much, Eva. for sharing with us amazing nuggets around this topic. And thank you so much, Sophie. Your testimony is very inspiring. So I am encouraged this morning to also some nuggets around this topic. First is very quickly where discipline and consistency were lacking, and then I'll share one very quickly in a scenario where that worked for me. So one of the goals I had earlier on in my career was to learn to speak French. And so I was very, and still I am, very keen to learn how to speak French. It's one of my greatest dreams and goals. And I would love to just see me speaking French and even translating and conducting business bilingually. And so what I did was to buy tapes, register for classes, wake up very early in the morning and go to Alliance Française in town. For those of you who are in Nairobi, you know that place. You are there by 7 a.m. And I did this for about 4 years. And I made a lot of progress, actually. And then I couldn't keep that in terms of discipline, in terms of consistency. I thought it was a lot of sacrifice, and my motivation and inspiration just went down. Just the thought of what time you have to wake up to get to town to go into that class, and then just looking at how difficult the language was becoming, and so feeling discouraged. And so that's one thing that hasn't worked for me. And as I was reflecting in your presentation, Eva, and the testimony from Sophie, I can see how the lack of discipline and even just failing to be consistent in the small steps I was making actually has contributed to today I cannot speak this language. And so still work in progress. And the other thing I wanted to mention is when you shared with us the story of Eliud Kipchoge and the other sports-oriented people, one thing that came to my mind is a goal that I had, which was to hike up Mount Kenya all the way to the peak, to the summit, and then also hike up Mount Kilimanjaro all the way to the summit. And for you to do that, there is quite a bit of preparation that you have to do in terms of getting fit, in terms of psyching yourself, in terms of doing a lot of research on the things to avoid and all that. And doing these two summits can seem quite daunting, especially when you read of stories of people who've hiked either Mount Kenya, Mount Kilimanjaro, and never made it back. But I think what we are hearing from Eva in terms of discipline and consistency worked for me. And a couple of years ago, I was able to apply that and to summit all the way to Mount Kenya. And I can tell you the journey up Mount Kenya also in itself required a lot of discipline. Like every day I would wake up there in the mountain and say to myself, why did I even come here in the first place? And I'll be like, I think this is the day I go back down to the base. And I'll be like, I don't think I'll ever summit. And you know, as you go up, you have all these issues of altitude, of oxygen, and now you're tired and it's raining and you are thinking, oh my God, what did I do to myself? And so I think discipline comes in, but also the consistency. When I did Mount Kilimanjaro, which was far more challenging for me because I hadn't prepared very well, also because of an issue of discipline in preparation. But up the mountain, there's a slogan. There's a slogan they use there, and they say pole 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 pole, which means like one step at a time, one step at a time, one step at a time. And I think that applies to the lesson for today, to say consistency. They say to you, just put your foot in front of the other foot, just keep going, just keep going, just keep going, being consistent. And I think that's how we made it up, challenging conditions, but the discipline was there. And the last thing I wanted to say, one of the tools I've had before and I've applied when it comes to discipline and performance, and you want to reach peak performance, sometimes you feel that the willpower for you to perform, to reach peak performance alone cannot sustain you. And so I just want to mention something you can go and research about the 4 intelligences. The 4 intelligences refer to the physical intelligence, the intellectual intelligence, emotional intelligence, and spiritual intelligence, and how these 4 intelligences come to play when you are pursuing discipline and peak performance. And maybe that's something we can look at another day. But for me, that has been a tool that has helped me towards discipline and consistency, the 4 intelligences. Thank you, Eva, for the chance to share.
Thank you. Flowers, love hearts, thumbs up. We clap for Rosemary. Drop everything you can. And would love to see your photos of Kilimanjaro at the peak and Mount Kenya at the peak. I'm sure that must have been very fulfilling. For French, that's a story for another day. Not even mentioning the year you started. I don't know how long that was, and we still can't speak French. I think I share the same experience, but bottom line is we know where the problem is. And that is very important. When we are not disciplined, somehow we know, yeah? If you spend so much time on social media when you're supposed to be doing something else, you get to know that you're doing the wrong thing, okay? So good thing is Rosemary still knows where Alliance Française is, and if she likes to, she'll still go back there. Sophie's gym is still there. If she likes to, she'll still go back there. So discipline is hard, but still achievable. Maybe a third and last person, because I know time is not on our side. I don't want to lock out anybody. So do we have any other testimony or experience? Watu wa shule, those in school, what do you think you have to share? A flop, work in progress, some success? Anyone? Anyone like to share? Let's not be shy, because we learn from your experiences. Anyone likes to share their experience? Okay, I think Rosemary Mboro and Amani. Rosemary, I think her hand was up earlier. Amani, you want to share something?
Yeah, I'll share something pertaining to school. So basically, in like my first semester of uni, I kind of struggled in terms of submitting assignments, staying up to submit assignments, especially on the due date, considering the fact that compared to high school, they weren't as rigid and strict about submitting assignments and the expectations. So in uni, I kind of struggled with that, where I'd find myself staying up very late into the night, and even until morning. I'd go back to bed at like 6 or 7 a.m. because I was up late submitting assignments and catching up on work. So after like that struggle, I was like, I can't do this again. It's a lot of work, a lot of time being used, lack of sleep. So I decided, like, from the second semester onward, I'd be more strict with myself in terms of following the schedule I made each week to ensure that I finish everything that's required of me to do in that week and not stay up very late into the night. So second year I improved, ended up staying until like 3 a.m., 4 a.m., which is an improvement from 6 and 7 a.m. And now it's still continuing. It's a work in progress. Even as I go into my second year, where I have to like strictly follow my schedule and not like dilly-dally or procrastinate, which I tended to do in the first semester. And yeah.
Great, Imani. Let's encourage Amani. Let's encourage her, love hearts. Send what you have to send to her, because she's going into her second year in uni. She needs to be able to wake up early. She needs to, submit assignments on time. So she says this is work in progress, but I'm glad to hear that she's been consistent and also determined to succeed at the end of the day. Well done, Amani, and we wish you all the best in your schoolwork. Please don't sleep. You will sleep once you're done with school. Yeah. So once you finish school, you will have lots of time to sleep. So just sacrifice a bit of that, and then you will definitely succeed. Okay. Anybody else before we lock out? In 30 seconds. If nobody's hand is up, then I think, unless Rosemary, you had something to add, or was that an earlier hand?
I think you're still muted.
Sorry. So I said we continue with our lesson. Just like our friends have shared, I also have my stories, and I had a fitness journey, which I will highlight as a flop. Okay. A flop because I used to work out around 2013, 2014. I have always been big-bodied, and I decided to do everything that we need to do. So Sophie happens to have been my colleague. Sophie is the lady who gave her testimony before Rosemary. And what we did is, because we were colleagues, everything she said in her testimony, I was with her, because what we did is we teamed up, and she was my accountability partner. This is quite an interesting story, because we used to work in Upper Hill. She lived in Langata and I lived in Umoja. For those who don't know Nairobi well, Amani and others, those are estates in different sides of town. So our gym was in town, and what we would do is we would go to the gym at 5, work out in the morning, then take a matatu to work in Upper Hill. And then from Upper Hill in the evening after work, we would walk down on foot to CBD and work out again until around 8 p.m. And we did that for about 2 years. This photo in black and white is me, again in the same attire. So I lost more than 25 kgs in that span of time. Sophie lost more than me, but the next photos have Sophie and I. If you wanted to look closer, this is Sophie and myself. We were colleagues, so we are in work uniform. And this is how we looked like. The photo in uniform is how we looked like before workout. The next photo is both of us in the office again, of course, but no uniform, but you can see the difference. Each of us seemingly did not have a neck line. Here we have our necks up high. We've lost so much. But if you know what it takes to work out 2 times a day, walk from Upper Hill on foot to town, and do this on Monday to Saturday, every week, every month, year on, then this was the result of this hard work. So I think when you listen to the testimonies that are being given here, it is clear that hard work. Yeah, so Sophie was actually my accountability partner in every journey. And what I want us to learn from this, because I don't want to dictate the lessons, I would want 2 people to just speak what they learned from either this picture, the story of Sophie, which is now here in picture format, anything about an accountability partner, what lessons, at least 5 lessons you think you can learn from this picture. Very quickly, hands up, anything you pick from this picture, and then we move to the next lesson. Any lesson you'd want to share in 1 word or 2 words, either in the chat or hands up.
Another lesson is that, first of all, like it's a long process, and even when you reach your goal, it's important to still continue being consistent. Otherwise, as Eva said, that you'll gain, for example, the weight back in this instance. But if you keep consistency, able to maintain that weight and even reduce as well. So that's an important.
Okay, thank you, Amani. I know Amani has seen me recently, and I'm sure she doesn't think this is me in the red top. This is actually me then. And unfortunately, I'm back to my default settings today. And I'm sure Sophie is back to her default settings as well, because the consistency, the discipline, and everything good died. Of course, we will try and justify why that died, but the result is clear. There's no two way about it. It is either you succeed or you fail. So you stop working out, no doubt about it. We will revert to the situation or to the original state. So that's where I am. So Sophie?
For me, just another learning thing. I think when you look at the photos, all the before photos, we both look sad. We are not happy. But in the after photos, we are all smiley. So one thing in those photos is your perspective changes. You have more courage. You have more. You're happier. I think I can attest for both of us. I think when we were smaller, we were actually happier than when we were bigger, and it can be seen from the photos. So I think once you achieve your goals, something in you changes. So that's one learning experience for me. You become a totally different person. So keep striving for those goals to be achieved.
Awesome. Yeah, clearly you can see we are all smiling. We don't know why, but for the previous photos we are sad with ourselves. We are all, I don't know, just not happy. Yeah. So I'll read a few of these lessons that we have here. So Lois says hard work pays. Rosemary says discipline and consistency, a journey of self-love. You are doing this for you, not for others. Okay, so remember that always. Consistency pays over time. Discipline is a decision, not an emotion. Very good, Holiday. Lois says consistency is a journey. The consistency journey is hard, but the fruits are beautiful. So you can see beautiful. I still keep my beautiful photos to date, but trust you me, even I do not believe whether that is me because they are so beautiful. I would wish to do that again. And I know what to do, only that now the discipline died. So, but that is for the weight loss. Dennis Kimani says staying consistent is not easy, but when you're not doing it alone, it makes it easier. Very well, because we used to walk from Upper Hill on foot with Sophie, and trust you me, the distance was very short because mkiteremka mnachapa story. So by the time you even get to the gym, you don't realize it because you're two of you. So the journey becomes shorter. So somebody said, if you want to walk far, you want to walk quickly, decide on whether you want to walk alone or you want to walk with somebody. So accountability partners really help. So enough of that lesson, and thank you for your contributions. And we'll go on to, this was my journey, my testimony as a flop. I have another testimony, and this is my academic journey. As I give this journey, I know in my previous presentation, I had given my professional journey in terms of work, which is a bit different, although the academic journey has contributed to my success in work. I started my academic journey, of course, I'll not say the primary and the secondary school, but my college started in 1998. That's about 30 years ago. Yeah, just a few years shy of 30. And I started with a basic certificate course. If you know, for those who are in college, you will know that certificate is the lower level of a diploma, okay? And that's where I started from. And I struggled with getting what I could with that certificate because I enrolled for a diploma class, but due to challenges in school fees, I could not complete the diploma, so I dropped off with my certificate. And I continued to do other short courses and did some odd jobs, and at some point, I decided I'm not going to do this. I want to be something different. With my certificate, I want to be something different. And because the job I was doing at that time was a teaching job, and I was teaching as an untrained teacher, I enrolled for a teaching diploma because I said, I want my academic qualifications to match what I am doing. So I enrolled for a teaching diploma, and it's a 1-year diploma in KTTC in Gigiri. And this diploma helped me now. I would get a TSC number at the end of the 1 year. I would be employed by probably the government. And I gave up my previous jobs and decided to concentrate on that 1-year diploma. And by the end of that 1 year, the note at the bottom there, I found an unteaching job at the same month. So there was this consultant who was also my lecturer, was looking for good administrators, office administrators, and found me as the best student in the class, and I was put in the panel of interviews or in the candidate list. So I beat around 20 people. Remember, I'm still a student. So what happened is I did not graduate with my diploma at that time. I was given a 1-year period within which I can come back, do my teaching practice. For those who are taking education in college, you know that you have to do your teaching practice. So I shelved my teaching practice, started my work, and this is in 2007, December, where I started my work. So I graduated in 2008 with a diploma. And then in the process of my work, I enrolled for a degree somewhere in 2013. So in the photos you can see there, I decided to just create some frames. So one is 2013 and the other is 2018. So in 2013, I was working and also in school. So I want us to learn something here. When I dropped off my work somewhere in the 2000s and decided to go back to school, is because I decided to focus on my studies. And I had a goal. I said, the certificate is not my destination, all right? I needed to change that destination. So when I was working, I enrolled for a degree course. I finished and immediately enrolled and graduated in 2013, enrolled for my master's, graduated in 2018. And that master's, fortunately, helped me alongside my experience. And by the way, as I worked, I got my degree, was promoted, worked very well, was promoted, and at some point I got to the management level. So by the time I had my master's, I was already in management. And that helped me get my current job right now or today. In that process, I was still taking some small certifications. And as we speak now, I am enrolled for my PhD. And in a few years, I have a goal. Not more than 2 years from now, because I am done with 1 year on my PhD. I'll be done in 3 months. Then in 1-2 years, I will have my doctorate. I have other relevant certifications, like the certified HR and also the certified secretary, which I'm awaiting award. And my goal, my ultimate goal, is to have that title. I started with a certificate, and 30 years down the line, that is 30 years later, I will have this title, and that's my goal. 30 years is not a short time. I don't want you to start calculating my age. Please don't calculate my age. Eh? I said 30 years later. So those who you see having these kind of titles, please don't think that they come just easy or just like that. These titles are earned and very hard worked for. For me, I'll say it will have taken me 30 years to build onto it. But if you give this story to somebody who probably left high school, joined university, immediately enrolled into a master's, and then got into the doctorate class, they will not share the kind of story. Mine is a story of discipline. Mine is a story of resilience. Mine is a story of consistency. And you can see 30 years is not a short time. Yeah. So I'm already practicing how to write my title because I have a goal and I have to stick to this goal. So somehow, unless something unexpected happens, then I would want to stick to this goal. How do we do it? We must do it with God. I like what Sophie said. We must do it with God, okay? God uses discipline to correct us, to train us, to help us have control. And you know, sometimes we say some things happen for us to learn, yeah? Like these athletes also, they must train their bodies. You will read 1 Corinthians 9:27 and see what it says about training our bodies and our spirit. You must employ the four. What did Rosemary tell us? The 4 intelligences. We must employ this. And I like the spiritual intelligence because this bullet is what it speaks to. So how do we do this then? We must pray on a daily basis. We must read our Bible. We must resist the temptations that come along with, you know, our everyday life. And of course, there are many verses that help us and encourage us. But I like Hebrews 12:11 that says, no discipline seems pleasant at the time. Okay. but painful. When I was going to take my education diploma, I sold off my household equipment to get school fees to go back to undertake that education diploma. But it was painful, and I was hopeful that the results and the fruits will be good fruits. Later on, however, it produces a harvest of righteousness and peace for those who have been trained by it. So let's be hopeful. Let's read our Bible. Let's trust God. Yeah, find a church near us. Let's not forget that we can't do it by ourselves. And to conclude today's lesson, I want us to concentrate on the foundation we set for everything we do, and the engine that we turn on to make sure that we achieve this, okay? Discipline is the foundation of progress. If we do not have a foundation, what do we want to be and where do we want it to be built on, yeah? So we do what is right, even when it is not easy or convenient, okay? For some of the things that I did, because my education story is a success story, some of the times I did not have school fees, like when I was working, because the salary is not too high, you have to get loans. At one time, my employer asked me why I need to struggle to get so many loans to just go back to school, but I have a goal. I have a goal, and that foundation that I set, yeah, it helps me to keep going, and then consistency is the engine that keeps the discipline alive, okay? In part of these certifications that I got, in that diploma, where I sold off everything and went to study, I got a first-class diploma, and I was the only one in that booklet who had a first-class diploma. Same applies to my degree. I had a first-class honors degree as the only one in that booklet. I was the only one in our class with the first-class honors. So what happens is, if you have put your mind on it, avoid all distractions, trust in God, and pray, okay? While I'm doing all these things, I was very active in choir, so in church choir. So there's so much time you spend in choir, there's so much time you spend in the church, and someone will ask you, how do you manage to do all this? The goal is your engine. Is it okay? Has it been serviced? Are you distracted? Okay, so that you must keep repeating, yeah, have the positive actions, and always do it right. So great lessons there. I'm trying to read what we are having. So will we get a recording? Maybe Lois can confirm that. Lois can confirm later whether we'll have a recording, and she can chat right back. So in terms of the two lessons, great nuggets right there. And I want us to have at the back of our minds, have something, one or two things that you need to achieve in the short term, in the long term, be it in school. I like Amani's goal of that when she goes into her second year, she's gonna do it, she's gonna do this, and she will emerge victorious. For everybody of us and wherever we are, let's try and have a great foundation. Let's keep our engines running so that at the end of it, we shall be here celebrating our successes, small or big, no matter how they are. Thank you, and I think I've come to the end of my presentation. I will welcome any questions.